Karen Carpenter invested $400,000 in a secret project in 1979. Her record label made her cry when she revealed it. She was then ordered to repay it. The following year, she concealed bruises with sunglasses, weighed less than a kid, and taking 90 medications every night. Not conspiracy theories. Family sought to hide these realities. The reality of her death is harsher than expected. Karen Carpenter was born in New Haven, Connecticut, on March 6, 1950. But her older brother Richard was famous before anyone recognized her name. From the start, the family pointed out his October 15, 1946 birth. The star was Richard. While Karen relaxed and listened to their father's vast record collection, he played accordion and piano effortlessly. Rock, jazz, classical, all were present. Karen wasn't just listening, but nobody noticed. She took it in. Still, her mother Agnes treated her like background noise. Richard received all the acclaim, attention, and support. Karen? She was supposed to stay out of the path. Karen's family moved when she was 13. They left Connecticut for Downey, California, in June 1963. Not for a fresh start. All for Richard. The plan was straightforward. Set Richard up in music. No one asked Karen's wishes. She had life and friends back home. None of that mattered. Everything revolved around Richard's piano career. He played clubs right away, lying about his age to gain gigs. Karen observed. In a new city, she had no say, and no one noticed her. At home, things were worse. Agnes had no trouble revealing her favorite. Karen was her constant scapegoat. If Richard was upset, blame Karen. If Karen outperformed Richard, she was chastised. Once, Karen beat the neighborhood kids at baseball and was chosen before her brother. Agnes shouted at her. Even when Karen became successful in music, her mother barely noticed. The family home films zoomed in on Richard for Karen's birthday, like she didn't exist. Harold, her father, might have changed things. He was soft-spoken, born in China to missionaries, and enjoyed music like his kids. But he never defended Karen. Not once. He left Agnes in charge. Harold remained silent as Karen struggled with mental illness and food disorders. He never urged her to get help. He never defended her. Karen was 15 in 1965. Richard formed the Richard Carpenter Trio. Karen played drums. Her talent was exceptional. She quickly learned Take 5 and set up a huge Ludwig drum equipment like her idol Joe Morello. In 1966, they won a major music competition and signed with RCA. Even in the band, she was invisible. Richard was the focus. Richard then heard her wonderful voice. He instructed her to stop drumming and sing. Just like that, she lost her drums, hired a new drummer, and moved her front. Not because she desired it, but to improve the group's image. One minor revolt sparked Karen's drumming career. She was 14 and desperate to avoid Downey High gym class in 1964. She joined the school band. She loathed the glockenspiel they gave her. She spotted classmate Frankie Chavez playing drums one day. That moment changed everything. She requested to switch instruments, and it started. Chavez convinced her parents to buy her a $300 Ludwig drum equipment the next year. Approximately $3,000 now. Ringo Starr and Joe Morello used Ludwig, so she chose them. She played so hard her fingertips bled. Her mom had to stock bandages. Karen mastered drums. She played complex jazz rhythms like the 5/4 beat in Take 5 in a year. Her siblings said she appears to have been born in a drum manufacturing. She trained daily in marching band skills, including paradiddles and triplets, under jazz icon Bill Douglas. Karen was more than a drummer. She sung and drummed. She played drums on every track of their first album, Offering, later renamed Ticket to Ride, while singing lead vocals. Her coordination was incredible. Her three-octave voice was accompanied by complex beats. Behind the kit, audiences couldn't see her. It bothered people. Karen ignored critics' claims that the band lacked stage presence. She felt safer behind drums. She continued to perform solo drum portions after moving to the front of the stage. She never forgot that aspect of herself. Young Richard Carpenter was 19 in 1965. He quietly loved jazz, musical arrangements, and recording gear. He created a trio. Even though his 15-year-old sister Karen had only played drums for a year, he welcomed her in. Wes Jacobs followed, playing tuba and stand-up bass, a strange combination which didn't fit popular pop. Even stranger? Nobody sang in the band. Instead, they brought in guest vocalist Margaret Chenor and trumpeter Dan Freiberg sometimes. Richard was in charge. He arranged every piece, practiced daily, and recorded their sound experiments on tape. This group would have been ignored by most. However, they entered the Hollywood Bowl Battle of the Bands on June 24, 1966. This was no local talent show. Event was sold out, judged by celebrities, and attended by record label scouts. In concert, they played an instrumental version of The Girl from Ipanema and Ice-T. So they won. A trio without a lead singer, led by a teenage girl on drums and a tuba player, won. That win caught RCA's eye. Neely Plum, their A&R head, signed them following the performance. They worked with Rick Gerard, a new producer who was also working with Jefferson Airplane. The trio recorded Beatles covers, Sinatra songs, and Iced Tea. But things went wrong horribly. An RCA committee reviewed the songs. The suits in control couldn't figure out how to handle a nonconformist jazz-pop band. So they put it away. None were released. 0 tracks. Karen Carpenter, a drum prodigy, was in the studio but didn't realize it. The next year, she won the John Philip Sousa Band Award in high school, but RCA released them. They missed out on one of the greatest duos ever. Over 100 million records sold, yet RCA missed it. Karen and Richard were in limbo in 1969. Their bands, Spectrum and Summer Times, broke up, but they persisted. They recorded fresh demos in bassist Joe Osborne's garage. They weren't polished, unsigned talent and siblings pursuing a dream. Young Karen was 19. Richard was 23. They sent A&M Records Herb Alpert the tapes. He didn't request them. He couldn't shake the emotion when he heard Karen's voice. Later, he stated that he wouldn't have bought a Carpenters record, but he realized she had something unusual. On April 26, 1969, Alpert signed them to A&M. Their first album, Offering, was released in November. The jump from garage cassettes to an album in under a year was nearly unheard of. A crazy idea followed. Richard wanted to cover Ticket to Ride. He disassembled the original instead of duplicating it. He slowed it down, adjusted the chords, and added an unexpected emotional edge. He concluded each chorus on a delicate, yearning major 7th chord and placed Karen's voice in its lowest, most haunting tone. She conveyed concern better than the verses. It was a great tune technically. By himself and Karen, Richard created 12 harmonies. John Lennon called the Beatles' rendition heavy metal, but the Carpenters made it sound like recorded sadness. It barely reached number 54 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it sold over 1 million copies and left a deeper impact. The label even renamed their debut album Offering to Ticket to Ride. Finally, everyone understood their sound. Then the song altered everything. Wish to Be. Close to You had failed with Richard Chamberlain, Dionne Warwick, and Dusty Springfield previous times. Herb Alpert recorded his own version, but never published it because he loathed it. Richard was unimpressed when he suggested the song to the Carpenters. He gave it a go after some thought, and knowing their last single hadn't topped the charts. His revised arrangement included a flugelhorn solo he hoped Alpert would play. Since Alpert was occupied, Chuck Findlay played it. The outcome was so smooth, Burt Bacharach assumed it was Herb on the horn. The record debuted on May 14, 1970. Besides charting, it exploded. It topped Billboard for 4 weeks. It sold over 4 million copies worldwide. The U.S. has 2.5 million. It was A&M's biggest hit since This Guy's in Love with You and earned the Carpenters a Grammy for Best Contemporary Vocal Performance. It was Billboard's second-ranked single of 1970. Singer Karen Carpenter was never supposed to be limited. Drummer was her first ambition. That was her genuine self, a drummer-singer. But the music industry had other ideas. She was often concealed behind her drum kit at 5 feet 4 inches during live engagements. No celebrity to watch during performances bothered several critics. In 1973, everything changed. Determined to take center stage, her brother Richard and manager Sherwin Bash hired former Mouseketeer Cubby O'Brien to play drums live. This was uncreative, a business decision. It gradually took Karen away from her true self. She was the main percussionist on early albums like Ticket to Ride, and occasionally, but she was eventually reduced to a few recordings. By Made in America, she only drummed on those good old dreams, and when it's gone, it's just gone. The change went beyond stage presence. Her musical spirit was slowly deteriorating. Karen disliked attention. She felt safe behind the drums. Kit was more than an instrument, her shield. Her fear increased when she was forced to the front of the stage. Later, drummer Cindy Blackman Santana claimed she understood Karen's feelings. Behind the drums is my refuge. Her experience must have been similar. Her shyness was normal. She didn't want attention. She preferred helping her brother from behind to appearing alone in front of thousands. But now that peaceful safety was gone, live shows got harder. Her worries were no longer covered by drums and cymbals. She felt vulnerable and lost. Cruel timing. Her anorexia surfaced after she left her comfort zone. The indicators were unmistakable by 1975, and performance pressure made matters worse. It wasn't merely stage adjustment. It shattered a young woman's identity. How few people remember Karen's amazing drumming makes it even more heartbreaking. She defeated Led Zeppelin's John Bonham in Playboy's 1975 Best Drummer poll. Bonham allegedly raged. He rarely praised anyone, but Buddy Rich called her his favorite pop drummer. The most famous drummer, Hal Blaine, praised her technique and elegance. However, decades later, famous jazz drummers said they had no idea how great she was. One reason is easy. She was overpowered. She sang brilliantly, but her kit work was overshadowed. One fan said Karen's drumming was a farce. YouTube exposed those terrible sexist jokes. She was jazzy and marching band trained. Almost nobody could sing lead with sophisticated transitions like she did. Despite her talent, it was ignored. The theft went beyond Karen's identification. That was her recognition, too. She was even questioned about playing drums. The uncertainty was that deep. Hal Blaine played on many studio records, so fans thought he was always behind the kit. Karen didn't mind. She wanted their singles to be perfect, since Blaine was the finest. But the outcome was bad. Is that her? People wondered after seeing her play. Old videos like her 1968 debut or 1976 drum solo didn't calm the naysayers. Doubt persisted. Having two drummers on stage didn't help. Confusion became tale. Hal Blaine never claimed credit. He applauded her, but it was too late. Karen Carpenter traveled from Los Angeles to New York by plane in April 1979. Not for a concert or vacation, a risky purpose. Her first solo record was her goal. She started recording at A&R Studios 2 days after landing. Karen opted not to wait while her brother Richard was in treatment. She'd work. Herb Alpert, co-founder of A&M Records, connected her with Phil Ramone, a famed producer who worked with Paul Simon and Billy Joel. The studio was crowded with top musicians, including Steve Gadd on drums, Greg Fillinganes on keys, and Billy Joel's band. Thriller composer Rod Temperton handed her Rock With You and Off the Wall. Karen skipped them because they were too edgy. Michael Jackson received them from Quincy Jones, and the rest is history. Karen recorded 21 songs, but only 11 were used. No Carpenters-like sound. Funkier, bolder, and sexier. Songs like Making Love in the Afternoon and My Body Keeps Changing My Mind revealed her new side. The shy drumming girl was gone. Phil Ramone termed it a really interesting disc, since she was exploring jazz grooves, disco sounds, and erotic lyrics. Karen excelled in her high voice for the first time. She invested in music personally and financially. The Karen spent $400,000 of her money. A&M Records added $100,000. $500,000 in 1980, almost $2 million today. They recorded in New York City, Los Angeles, and Burbank. Every session had top-notch athletes, engineers, and equipment. Photo sessions, record art, and everything else were planned. She was convinced, but then the gut hit. It got frigid when she played the CD for A&M's senior executives in L.A. Herb Alpert apparently deemed it unreleasable. Karen wept. After working a year, spending a fortune, and risking everything, she was told it wasn't good enough. Quincy Jones attempted rescue. He fought for its release, but the label refused. The album was shelved May 5, 1980. Some say Karen chose it. Some, including musicians and Phil Ramone, said that was false. Karen never wanted it buried. She called Phil one day before her death, on February 3, 1983, saying, "I still adore our fucking record." They never communicated again, but the rejection hurt her financially and emotionally. Not only did A&M cancel the album, she was charged $400,000 for Carpenter's future royalties. She had to pay the label for trying something new. Such punishment conveyed a message. As a lady seeking to break out of your wholesome box, don't break the rules. The CD came out in 1996, 13 years after her death. Over 1 million copies sold. Tom Burris followed. Karen met him in a fancy restaurant in June 1980. He was charming, successful, and 39, while she was 30. He informed her he didn't know the Carpenters. Her pals were skeptical, but she fell hard. After 2 months, he proposed. He gifted her a Rolls-Royce. On August 31, 1980, they married in Beverly Hills. Everyone thought it was hurried, but Karen thought she was in love. Debt drowned Burris. He hid about $1 million from her. After marriage, he demanded money. $35,000, $50,000. When she died, Karen had only $2,000 in her bank account. About $6 million was her net worth. He drained most of it. Luxury mansions, automobiles, and a lifestyle he never paid for. She gave while he used her. Next followed harshness. Burris addressed her. Mocking her anorexia, he called her a bag of bones. He promised to never have children with her. After a trip to Canada, she saw a friend indoors with sunglasses disguising injuries. She sobbed during dinner. Friends noticed more bruises. It was never reported, but they knew he was violent. In one fight, she refused to lend him money again. He exploded. She rushed to a friend's house in tears, afraid to return. All of her money, body and mind were being decimated. She wanted out, but her mother stopped her. Burris told Karen about his vasectomy before the wedding. He knew she wanted kids most. He lied throughout. Karen was broken. She wants the wedding off. Agnes, her mother, declined. Billboard's second-ranked single of 1970. Singer Karen Carpenter was never meant to be restricted. Drummer was her first goal. Her true self, a drummer-singer. Music industry had other ideas. In live performances, she hid behind her 5 feet 4-inch drum kit. Many critics complained about performances without celebrities. In 1973, everything changed. Committed to the spotlight. Her brother Richard and manager Sherwin Bash contracted Cubby O'Brien to play drums live. Not creative, a business choice. Karen's actual self was gradually lost. She played major percussion on early albums like Ticket to Ride and Rarely, but she was restricted to a few recordings. Only Those Good Old Dreams and When It's Gone, It's Just Gone were drummed by Made in America. The transformation goes beyond stage presence. Her musical spirit waned. Karen hated attention. She felt protected behind drums. Kit was more than instruments, her protection. Being pushed to the front of the stage intensified her fear. Drummer Cindy Blackman Santana later said she understood Karen's feelings. Behind the drums is my shelter. Her experience must have been similar. Her shyness was typical. She wanted no attention. She preferred helping her brother behind to appearing alone in front of thousands. But that tranquility was gone. Live shows got harder. Drums and percussion no longer muffled her anxieties. She felt helpless. Cruel timing. Her anorexia began after leaving her comfort zone. For 1975, the indicators were clear, and performance pressure made matters worse. It went beyond stage correction, shattered a young woman's identity. Karen's superb drumming is even more painful because few remember it. She beat John Bonham in Playboy's 1975 Best Drummer poll. Said Bonham raged. Buddy Rich rarely praised anyone, but she was his favorite pop drummer. The most famous drummer, Hal Blaine, commended her technique and beauty. However, decades later, legendary jazz drummers admitted they had no idea how excellent she was. One reason is simple. She was defeated. Her singing was great, but her kit work was overlooked. One fan called Karen's drumming a sham. YouTube exposed cruel, sexist jokes. Jazzy and marching band trained. Few could sing lead with such smooth transitions. Her talent went unnoticed. The theft went beyond Karen's ID. It was her recognition, too. Her drumming skills were questioned. This uncertainty was deep. Many studio records featured Hal Blaine, so fans thought he was always behind the kit. Karen didn't mind. She wanted their singles to be flawless because Blaine was best. Unfortunately, the outcome was poor. Is that her? People asked after seeing her play. The haters didn't stop with her 1968 debut or 1976 drum solo. Doubt remained. Having two drummers on stage hurt. Confusion became story. Blaine never took credit. Applauding her was too late. Karen Carpenter flew from L.A. to N.Y. in April 1979. Not for vacation or concerts, a dangerous goal. First solo record was her ambition. She recorded at A&R Studios 2 days after landing. Karen skipped waiting for her brother Richard's therapy. She'd work. Alpert, co-founder of A&M Records, introduced her to Phil Ramone, a famous producer who worked with Paul Simon and Billy Joel. Top musicians including Steve Gadd on drums, Greg Fillinganes on keys, and Billy Joel's band filled the studio. She received Rock With You and Off the Wall from Thriller composer Rod Temperton.